My wife gave me bedroom commandments, so I followed silently, tracked her affair with receipts, then ended her brand, marriage, and control for good. You are not allowed to touch me unless I initiate. No kissing before I have had my collagen tea. Only these 3 positions, and do not make them weird. Lights off, always. That is how it started. She read them aloud like she was hosting a live stream, standing barefoot in yoga pants and a designer hoodie that said alignment over expectation. She was not joking, not even close.
Listen, quick break. We set a goal to hit 10,000 subscribers. So tap subscribe if you are liking these wild stories of betrayal.
Now, let us get back to the madness. She placed the stapled papers, yes, stapled, right in front of me on the coffee table, next to the glass coaster she never used, and the empty plate from the dinner I had made. Vegan something. I cannot remember. The list took all the air out of the room. Just so we are clear, she said with that influencer tone she now used on everyone, including me, that singy, breathy pitch where every sentence sounded like a TED Talk caption. This is not a punishment. It is a recalibration of our intimacy dynamics. I did not say a word. I just leaned back on the couch, pulled my glasses from the collar of my shirt, unfolded the pages, and began to read slowly, quietly. No anger, no sarcasm. I wanted to give it the gravitas she apparently thought it deserved. Line by line, I studied this masterclass in passive-aggressive cruelty, wrapped in buzzwords and bullet points. Rule number 6, no more boring pajamas. Visual stimulation is part of connection. Boxers are okay, but only the dark ones, not those ones with the stars. Stars, she meant the navy pair with the constellation print, the ones I got from our trip to Maine. She laughed when I bought them. You are such a dork, she said, but you are my dork. Apparently not anymore. At the bottom of page 2, I paused, not because I was shocked, but because the paper smelled faintly of lavender and toner. She had printed them at her co-working space. Clearly, there was even a faint watermark in the corner, Conscious Women Collective. Cute. She thought she was coaching me, training me, like I was a raw bundle of male dysfunction that needed to be rewired into a softer, more marketable husband, one that would not interfere with her rebrand. Because that is what all this was, really. Her rebrand, new hair, new voice, new schedule, and now new marriage, too. One where she got to play the enlightened goddess, and I was just supposed to smile, nod, and adjust my libido accordingly. She stood there watching me like a professor grading a pop quiz. And then I looked up. No fury in my eyes, no wounded puppy stare, just a steady, calculating stillness. I folded the pages neatly, pressed the crease, placed them back on the coffee table, right on that stupid plastic coaster she refused to throw away, the one with the faded palm tree and the words live, laugh, love half scratched off, a relic from our honeymoon, long before social media hashtags replaced honesty. Then I said one line, just one. Do you want me to initial these at the bottom, or will a blood oath suffice? Her lips parted, not for a comeback, but because her breath actually caught. She had not expected sarcasm. She had expected pleading, obedience, confusion, but not precision. She reached for the papers too fast, and her thumb ripped through them. The tear was ugly and loud in the quiet room, like fabric ripping at a funeral. No, wait. I did not mean Tom. Can we just talk for 1 second? Sure, I said, standing slowly. But I will need a list of approved conversation topics first. Her face fell. Whatever performance she prepared crumbled under that single sentence. I saw it the exact second she realized I was not confused or offended. I was already done. And the worst part, I was not even angry. Not anymore. Anger would have meant I still cared. No, what I felt was clarity. Cold, clean, like a fresh spreadsheet with all the errors removed. I walked past her. I did not slam the door. I did not throw anything. But I did take that little plastic coaster with me. Not because it mattered, but because she thought it did not. She used to leave her phone face up. Now it lay screen down, screen silent, screen sacred. The first time I noticed the shift was subtle. She flinched when I reached to hand it to her, like I might catch a virus through the lock screen. That was 3 months ago. Since then, the brand meetings had multiplied, and so had her caffeine intake and gym selfies. She had come home flushed, glowing. Not the way you glow from cardio, the way you glow from being wanted. But I said nothing, just watched, like I always had. Funny thing is, she gave me the password. Not recently, not for this. It was back in January when she insisted we both try a digital detox challenge after reading some dopamine cleansing nonsense from a podcast host who used to sell teeth whitening kits. We installed a screen time tracker app, synced it to my iPad. She forgot. I did not. I pulled it out after the commandments. Not that night. No, that night I needed space. I needed the right kind of silence to digest what she had handed me and the grotesque assumption behind it, that I would nod along like a broken appliance, grateful to be restarted. The next morning, while she was at her Monday yoga with me, I tapped open the app. The sync was still active. It loaded. The report was not flashy, just bar charts, timestamps, data, but it told me everything. Her top used app, Telegram, not Instagram, not her editing suite. Telegram, 3 private groups. One caught my eye, Hollow Circle. I did not recognize the name, but I recognized the icon, an Ouroboros tattooed on a man's forearm. She posted about it once months ago. Some quote about embracing cycles and shedding ego. I remember because she captioned it, "He gets it." I did not click right away. I just stared at that snake eating its own tail. And suddenly, the gym trips, the facials, the Thursday brand alignment dinners all clicked into place. She was reinventing herself from wife to something sexier, freer, more marketable, and he was helping. When I opened the chat transcript, I expected flirting, maybe a nude. What I did not expect was volume. His name, Zane, showed up 117 times in 7 days. I ran the count twice. Not emojis, not likes, full messages. Screenshots of her posts with captions like, "Think this angle makes me look too married?" Messages from him, "No, it makes you look expensive." Her, "Haha, do not tempt me." There were photos too, none explicit, but intimate in the way they were meant to look casual. A selfie of them with matcha lattes, a blurred one from across, a rooftop bar. Her legs crossed in a cabana chair, toenails painted red, Zane's hand clearly in frame, holding a wine glass. She had captioned it, "Grateful energy, black heart emoji." And I'd been at home that weekend fixing the cabinet hinge she had broken, slamming it shut over a missing protein bar. There were no gotcha moments, no smoking gun. Just a slow parade of moments where I watched my wife fall in love with her audience and someone who was not me. I was just there, like a background app she forgot was still running. I did not save the messages, did not print them out. What for? She had not betrayed me with a bang. It was a drift, a slow, deliberate unmarrying dressed up as enlightenment. A woman with a husband who made her safe enough to forget that safety is not the same as love, and who mistook my silence for absence. I closed the app, sat still, and for the first time in a long time, I did not feel confused. I felt confirmed, and I knew exactly what the next phase of my plan would look like. Quiet, surgical. I would not even raise my voice, but she would eventually. Her captions always started the same way, "So grateful for this opportunity," or "Feeling so aligned with this brand's mission," followed by 3 filtered photos of ocean sunsets, luxury pillows, and her holding a green smoothie like it was communion. She called them work trips. I started calling them line items. It was not hard. All her collaborations were public. She wanted them to be identifiable by social media hashtags, geotags, and video reels. She even filmed the lobby of one hotel while walking backward in heels. Manifestation in motion. The caption said, "I took notes." Every time she posted a trip, I pulled our shared credit card statement. Reagan never noticed or never cared that the business still ran through my name. When she launched her limited liability company last year, she asked me to be listed as co-founder just for the tax stuff. And I agreed because I was still the man who wanted to believe her passion was not just a prettier excuse to check out of our marriage. But now I was done believing. I was verified. First was the Malibu trip. She said it was a 3-day rejuvenation partnership with a women's wellness startup. Their Instagram showed her doing yoga in branded leggings and sipping juice in front of eucalyptus trees. But our hotel receipt showed a double occupancy suite with a champagne brunch package and 2 spa appointments. I called the spa. "Hi," I said, cheerful. "My wife recently stayed there for a sponsored campaign and raved about your couple's massages. I would love to surprise her by booking the same thing." The receptionist did not hesitate. "Oh, that is sweet. Yes, Reagan and Mr. Kovac did the lavender stone treatment on Saturday. Very popular with influencers and their partners." Mr. Kovac. Zane Kovac. I did not flinch. I just smiled, thanked her, and hung up. Then I did what any retired engineer would do. I opened Excel. Every trip, every brand name, every social media hashtag. Next to them, dates, locations, our account charges, double occupancy confirmations. 2 entrees at the hotel restaurant, extra robes. One time, a rose petal arrangement with the message, "You are radiant." And then came the kicker. 2 months ago, she claimed to be in Arizona for a desert soul detox. But that same weekend, she made a video from a suite with a view I recognized, not from her post, but from mine years ago. because we had stayed in that exact hotel, that exact room for our anniversary 6 years back. I even spotted the same wall art behind her. I remembered how she said it looked like someone framed regret. Now it framed her again, but with someone else out of shot. I kept every invoice, printed them, highlighted charges in yellow, annotated with post links and timestamps, then filed them into a black folder labeled simply honesty. I did not confront her. Not yet. I left the folder in the drawer of the downstairs filing cabinet, the one where we kept her old podcast contracts and our tax documents. The same drawer she had not touched since 2021. It was hiding in plain sight, like me. She did not know I knew. She still floated through the house with that smug, curated glow, like she had gamed the system, and I was too oblivious to see the reruns. But I saw them. I tracked the loops. I watched the pattern. What she did not realize, what Zane definitely did not realize, was that I was no longer part of their story. I was building my own, and in mine, every receipt was a trigger, every sponsored getaway an execution waiting to be scheduled. I sat at the old desk in the garage, the one she always said smelled like dust and death. It used to be my drafting space back when blueprints were on paper and not a subscription service. Now it was quiet, private, and still smelled like competence. Her list, her absurd manifesto of control, sat neatly beside me, reassembled with scotch tape for reference. I did not need it to remember the bullet points. I needed it for structure because now I had my own list. Mine did not concern candles or lingerie or pre-approved bedroom scripts. Mine concerned disentanglement. 1. Separate financial accounts. I logged into our bank, still joint, still trusting, and initiated the division. Quietly, strategically, I rerouted my pension deposits, froze the autopays for her platforms. She would not notice until she got a decline on her next creative consultation brunch. I labeled the transfers housekeeping. It felt appropriate. 2. Revoke shared authorizations. She would use my name, my credit, on 3 of her business accounts, including her podcast hosting plan and the limited liability company formation. I filed terminations of interest. The forms were already printed. All it needed was a signature and a walk to the notary. 3. Limited liability company share sale. I own 49%. Not for control, just structure. She begged me to sign on as co-founder to look more grounded to brand partners. No. I drafted a clean sale back to her for $1, filed it in a folder, left the folder in the garage safe, marked finalize when necessary. 4. Tax liability separation. She laughed when I insisted we filed jointly under split allocations. You do not trust me, she joked. I smiled. I trust math more. That small clause gave me an out. Now I activated it. My portion of our joint returns, isolated, locked, protected. 5. Legal notification of intent to divorce, unsent, drafted. 2 pages attached with a copy of our prenuptial agreement. Yes, we had one. She made a big deal back then, just in case. You never know. She had no idea it was written by my old college roommate, now a tax litigator, who owed me 3 favors. The prenup had a clause she never noticed. In the event of infidelity, substantiated by mutual asset use, full dissolution with asset shielding is triggered. Triggered. 6. Remove digital access. She shared my cloud drive for household files. I purged it, changed passwords, removed her devices from all synced accounts. She will not notice until she tries to download the quarterly budget to pretend she manages things. 7. Real estate valuation request sent. Just a quiet little inquiry to the firm that handled our purchase years ago. I requested a blind quote, pretending to explore refinancing. The goal was not to sell. It was to know exactly what I was walking away from and what she would lose. 8. Canceled recurring charges tied to her business. 3 services were on my card: her customer relationship management, her scheduling software, and the analytics tool she bragged about during her How to Grow Your Brand live streams. Gone. All tied to me. All deactivated. 9. Social media blackout. I did not unfollow, I did not block, I just muted everything, erased the apps, scheduled deletion of my accounts. I would not be part of her narrative anymore. I would not be the mysterious husband in her morning routine videos, conveniently absent but implied. 10. The final clause. I wrote it on paper. Not digital, not traceable. Just one line if she asked for the list. Deliver with coffee and silence. That one would be my little ceremony. I placed everything into a black leather folder and slid it into the bottom drawer of the garage desk, the same drawer that used to hold my old compasses and slide rules. Tools of precision. Reagan handed me a list of humiliations disguised as self-empowerment. I returned with 10 quiet detonations wrapped in paperwork. She wanted control over the bedroom. I now controlled the entire stage, and the curtains had not even opened yet. Sunday brunch, her theater. She picked the spot, a bright little place with overpriced matcha and waiters in ironic aprons. She always liked that place, said the lighting made her skin look creatively lit. She was wearing one of those wide-brimmed influencer hats that screamed, "I am not like other women." Even though she was exactly like every woman in that restaurant, her friends were already seated when we arrived, all frosted lip gloss and performative wellness. They greeted me like a pet that learned a new trick. One even patted my hand and whispered, "It is so nice that you are still showing up, Tom." Like I was a dying houseplant she assumed had already been composted. I ordered coffee. Just coffee. They all asked for anti-inflammatory cocktails, whatever the hell that means. Conversation buzzed, brand launches, a TikTok partnership, someone's retreat in Tulum where boundaries were expanded. Then Reagan launched into her set piece. It was rehearsed. I could tell the pacing was tight, the pauses calculated. I just had to put my foot down, she said, buttering gluten-free bread like she was the main character in a Netflix miniseries. Like, he is great. But, men need structure. You train them with consistency. Little nudges. Reward the behavior you want. Ignore the rest. Laughter. Nods. Someone muttered exactly. Someone else raised a mimosa in agreement. I reached into my coat pocket. "I'm glad you brought that up," I said, placing the envelope on the table beside her mimosa. "Because I have been following your rules. Here is what happens next." She froze. Not long, just a flicker. But I saw it. The smile did not drop. It cracked. She picked it up slowly. Her fingers hovered on the flap like it might be a trap. Then, with a forced smirk, she slid one manicured nail under the seal and pulled out the 3 folded pages inside. The first sheet bore the title Commandment Compliance Review Termination Summary. She skimmed it. Bullet point 1. Effective immediately. All financial co-accounts have been severed. Bullet point 2. The limited liability company co-ownership has been legally dissolved. You are now sole proprietor and fully liable. Bullet point 3. All marital asset shielding clauses within the prenup are now in active motion due to confirmed misuse of joint funds for non-business romantic travel. Her breath hitched. She flipped to the second page. The hotel receipts, highlighted entries, spa for 2, champagne turn-down service. A handwritten note beneath it, grateful energy, black heart emoji, is not deductible by the way. She dropped it. The third page was a simple list. My list. My 10 steps, itemized, signed, time-stamped. Each dated, each real, each irreversible. I took a long sip of coffee. Her friends stared. One leaned in to glance. Reagan scrambled to gather the papers, but they slipped, fluttered to the floor. She snapped, "Do not look at that!" Her voice cracked on the last syllable. The waiter brought my check before I asked. I signed it. No tip. "I will leave you to the mimosas," I said, rising. "Thanks for brunch." She did not say a word. She just sat there, pale, her hat now looking like a costume. The woman who joked about training me had just discovered that I was the one who had been counting steps and she had just hit number 5. Half the restaurant watched me walk out. But Reagan, she did not move, because every shred of her performance was now unraveling in front of the only audience that mattered to her. And the show was just getting started. The first post went up less than 24 hours after brunch. A soft-lit selfie, her face half in shadow, wearing a linen robe she had not touched in months. The caption read, "Sometimes growth requires silence. Sometimes love means letting go of the version of you they preferred. Healing, alignment, divine feminine, not a breakup, just birth. Classic Reagan." I did not respond. Instead, I scrolled, because I knew her better than she thought I did. That post was not for me, it was for them, her audience. The carefully curated echo chamber that handed her dopamine in the form of heart emojis and fire reacts. She wanted sympathy without specificity, victimhood without verification. Then came the second post, a black and white photo of a canyon captioned, "Boundaries are not walls, they are doors with locks you get to own. Sacred space, reclaiming energy, some people understand." Then came the deletions. Flirty selfies with Zayn vanished. So did the matcha moments with the suspicious hand in the background. She purged anything that hinted she had ever been touched by someone other than the husband she was now pretending had not existed. The problem? Screenshots exist, and the internet is cruel. Someone leaked her direct messages. I do not know who. Probably one of her own followers. Or maybe one of those brunch hyenas who realized their queen had no throne. The first screenshot showed Reagan telling Zayn, I do not even feel married when I am around you, and he is too old to notice anything anyway, followed by a smirking face emoji. They were posted to a mid-sized gossip account that covers influencers who preach one thing and post another. The caption, "This you, queen? Just checking. Conscious fraud." The comments were brutal. Did she not post about radical honesty last week? Girl was married to a retiree and still doing TikTok dances with a side piece. Zayn dodged a bullet too. She treats men like discount promo codes. Still, I stayed silent. Not a comment, not a tweet, not a quote repost. I did not need to fight the narrative. She was burning it herself. Then came the podcast episode. She titled it, "Unbecoming for the Right Reasons." Just her voice, soft, trembly, almost reverent. A monologue about stepping away from misaligned energy and releasing people who suppressed your evolution. The kicker, she claimed the real betrayal was emotional neglect in a stale marriage, that I withheld support while she blossomed. No names, but everyone knew. I let her have it. All of it. And then someone posted the receipts. Not mine. The hotel invoices, the champagne brunches, the couple massages, even a screen grab of her telling a brand representative, "Yes, my husband is on board with this campaign. It is our shared story." Turns out someone at that brand had flagged a discrepancy, sent it to another brand. Then someone leaked the email chain. By week's end, her name showed up on 3 internal influencer blacklist spreadsheets. She still posted, of course, now in sweaters. Hair pulled back, earth-tone backgrounds, less contour, more raw honesty. One caption read, "Rebuilding slowly, kindly, quietly." But the algorithm did not care, and neither did her audience. The likes and comments turned surgical. Zayn had not posted since the leak. Her pinned video went from 80,000 views a week to 2.1 thousand in 3 days. She still had not called me, not once, because she knew that behind every post, behind every smiling selfie and lesson-learned paragraph, I was still watching, and I had not even spoken yet. The first cancellation came with a smiley face emoji. It was buried in a politely savage email from a wellness company she had once bragged about partnering with. They had flown her to Tulum, let her stay in some glass-walled retreat where she filmed a reel about harnessing solar frequency. She told me it was her dream collaboration. They really get me now. The email read, "Hi Reagan. After a comprehensive internal review, we feel your recent public alignment no longer reflects the values of our brand. We wish you continued growth on your personal journey." Ceiling sparkles emoji. No refund, no goodbye box, just an untagged severance delivered like a hug with a knife tucked in. Reagan did not mention it right away, but I saw the mood shift. She stopped singing in the mornings. Her laptop stayed closed longer, and her posture, always picture perfect, started to fold in at the shoulders like the algorithm had taken something out of her spine. Then came the second, a skincare company, one she used to promote while lounging in our bathtub, her face slathered in clay like a modern Medusa. She said they had made her feel seen. I remember because I was the one who took the damn product shots, holding her ring light while she cursed at her reflection for blinking during the timer. Their email was less poetic. "Upon legal review of your partnership disclosure forms and use of marital narratives in campaign storytelling, we have chosen to discontinue all contracts. Please remove all branded content by Friday." Marital narratives. That was the phrase that broke her composure, because it was not just a breakup, it was an accusation. They had caught the lie. The influencer who painted her husband as supportive and spiritual and part of the vision had been secretly auditioning someone else in the wings. She tried damage control. I watched her fire off emails late into the night, hands trembling as she typed. The kitchen lights stayed on until 2 o'clock in the morning. I sat in the garage with my list, sipping tea and marking little check boxes. We were at step 7 now. Public perception collapsed ahead of schedule. The next morning she called her manager. He did not answer. The next day, his assistant replied with one sentence. "Jeremy has chosen to step away from influencer representation effective immediately." That one stunned her, because Jeremy was her shield, her fixer, the guy who once threatened to sue a follower who said she looked over-filtered. He had even flirted with her in that fake-safe way certain men do when they smell potential percentages. She thought he would never leave. Then Zayn ghosted. No calls, no texts. His account went private. His stories disappeared. A mutual friend tagged him in a blurry photo from a silent disco in Palm Springs, alone. She messaged him twice. I know because I saw the notifications. She forgot her iPad was still logged in. She changed the lock screen photo from us to a crystal, but the thread was still named Zayn's chat with a face on fire emoji. Her last message, Just one line, please, just tell me what is going on. No reply. That is when the anxiety set in. I heard her on the phone with someone, maybe her sister, whispering words like misunderstood and massive overreaction. And it is not like I cheated. We were emotionally disengaged for months. Ironic, really. She had spent so long framing me as this stoic, checked-out old man who did not understand her journey. Now that I actually checked out, the world started following. She tried one last story, a selfie with a cup of tea, captioned, "Losing people who do not respect your healing is not a loss, it is a detox," followed by teacup without handle emoji and dizzy face emoji. But the comments were closed. She always said silence was strength. Turns out silence was my strategy. And now it was all she had left. The guest list was simple. 6 people, all older than 60, all real, all quiet. The kind of friends who never needed to post their plates to prove the meal happened. Engineers, an old Navy buddy, a retired architect named Lynn who once drank me under the table in Bangkok and still denies it. We met at Marco's, the restaurant Reagan once called too beige for her brand. The place had not changed in 20 years. Same menu, same white tablecloths, no ring lights, no fusion foam. Just steak, wine, and company that did not need subtitles or social media hashtags. I did not call it a celebration. That would have sounded smug. I called it a farewell because that is what it was. Farewell to the version of me that flinched at being background. Farewell to a life where I was treated like an antique desk. Useful, sentimental, but ultimately too heavy for the new aesthetic. We sat at the back in the wine room, tucked away, candlelit. The kind of room you rent when you want peace, not presence. The first course had just arrived, grilled artichokes with lemon butter, when the door opened. She walked in like she had been summoned, hair curled just right. That silk blouse she only wore when she wanted men to underestimate her. She was smiling like nothing had happened, as if all the scorched wreckage behind us was a scene from someone else's movie. "Hi," she beamed casually. "I was just in the neighborhood and thought I would say hello. I did not realize you were all getting together." She lied smoothly, the way influencers do, like reality was a filter she could toggle off if it made her nose look funny. The table froze. Not in fear, but in confusion, because none of them had seen her in almost 1 year, not since she stopped coming to cookouts, not since she traded potluck casseroles for gut-restorative cleanses and replaced their wives' birthdays with self-care weekends. She moved to hug Lynn. He nodded but did not stand. "I will just sit for 1 second," she chirped. "Catch up. I brought some of those vegan, dark chocolate things everyone loved at New Year's. No one had loved them. Especially not at New Year's." I stood, calm, not angry, just resolved. "Reagan," I said, folding my napkin. "This is a private event." The air changed subtly, like someone had dimmed a light no one saw get turned on. She blinked. The smile stayed too long. "Oh, come on, Tom." She laughed lightly, brushing imaginary lint off her blouse. "It is just me. You cannot seriously be—" I did not repeat myself. I simply stepped to the door, held it open. She looked at me, really looked, maybe for the first time in months, and saw it. I was not humiliated. I was not bitter. I was finished. "This is a private event," I said again. Softer now, but sharper. "Please do not make me explain it again." The wine room stayed silent. No one moved. No one vouched. Her jaw tensed. She clutched the cellophane bag of chocolates tighter like it might somehow rewind time. Then she turned, not fast, not with flair, just enough delay to make it look like her choice. I closed the door behind her slowly, deliberately, then returned to my seat and passed the butter to Lynn. The conversation picked up where it left off, like she had never been there. Because in that room, at that table, among those people, she had not, and she never would be again. It hit the internet at 8:47 in the morning on a Tuesday. Not the front page of the Times. No, something meaner, sharper. A mid-sized media blog with teeth and just enough credibility to make people pause their morning scroll. Social current, influencer culture, unfiltered. The headline read, "Influencer couple breakdown. What really happened behind the hashtags?" Her name was in the subheading. So was mine. The piece was brutal, in that specific way modern journalism excels at, not loud, not slanderous, just surgical. It began with an overview of her rise, the yoga videos, the wellness partnerships, the husband appreciation posts where I would appear blurry in the background holding a salad or fixing a light bulb. There was even a screenshot of that viral reel she filmed at our anniversary dinner 3 years ago, the one she captioned, "Grateful to build this life with my best friend." Then came the quotes. Anonymous sources close to the couple, her former assistant, one of her brand representatives, and finally him, not anonymous, not even careful. He gave a statement through a public relations representative, claiming creative misalignment and that he regretted the unprofessional blurring of boundaries, which is media code for, yes, we slept together, but I am not going down for this. Then came the screenshots. Not the direct messages, those were old news by now. These were emails. In one, she told a brand's marketing team, "My husband and I are in alignment about the narrative. He is supportive and aware of the tone we are using for the campaign." Attached was a photo of the two of us at the beach, taken by me, posted by her, captioned, "Joy looks like this." The article made it clear, I had not been aware, not of the tone, not of the narrative, and certainly not of the campaign. And then there was my quote. Just one line buried near the end of the piece after 3,000 words of betrayal, optics, monetized affection, and monetized adultery was this: I respected her privacy more than she respected our marriage. Tom. No flourish, no burn, just fact, delivered like a wrench left on the hood of a car. Silent, heavy, perfectly placed. She did not post that day. For the first time in 4 years, no photo, no story, no vague quote about healing or rebirth or choosing softness. The silence screamed louder than any caption could. But the comments did not wait. Her last post, 3 days old, a recycled selfie with a teacup, was flooded. So, you just lied the whole time. Imagine monetizing your own husband like a prop. You do not deserve silence. You deserve consequences. He was in the background of your feed because that is how you treated him. A former fan posted a video dissecting the expose line by line, ending with, "There is nothing empowering about deception, and there is nothing spiritual about being manipulative." It hit 80,000 views in 12 hours. Brands pulled their remaining posts. A healing retreat in Sedona wiped her off their speakers page. A wellness candle line she claimed to co-design changed the product name from Reclaiming Light to Rebranding Fire and scrubbed the launch photos. She was hemorrhaging relevance. She called her manager. Voicemail. She texted Zane. Deliver failed. She emailed the journalist. No reply. And then finally she messaged me. Just one line, "I never thought you would go public." I did not answer her because I had not. Not really. That quote, that line, that was not me going public. That was me acknowledging the fire she had already lit and choosing to let it burn without throwing a single match of my own. That was the moment she realized the story was no longer hers to control, because the fans did not just turn, they saw. And when they looked closely, they did not see a goddess reclaiming power. They saw a woman who mistook performance for love, and a man who vanished from the frame just long enough to let the whole scene fall apart without him. The house was too quiet. Not the cozy kind, the kind that wraps around you when a storm has passed and peace settles in. No, this was emptied quiet, the kind that rattles, the kind that echoes off corners you never noticed until they are stripped bare. She stepped through the doorway in soft steps, calling my name once. Just once, out of habit, not hope. There were no shoes by the door, no tool bag on the floor. The bookshelf, half hers, half mine, was gone. So were the cookbooks she never used but liked to arrange for ambiance. The French press was missing. The framed photo of us on Mount Rainier gone. In its place, a faint outline where dust had settled around the absence. Her key still worked. That part must have confused her, because somewhere in her head she probably thought there was a final conversation waiting, a negotiation, a last pitch she could dress up in forgiveness and organic tea. But there was no one to negotiate with. Only the fridge, and one note taped dead center, white paper, block letters, no flourish, no XOXO, no name. Just one sentence. If it had been about love, you would not have needed commandments. She did not cry at first. She stood there, lips slightly open, reading it 3 times slowly, like maybe the meaning would change if she stared long enough. But it did not. The kitchen clock ticked behind her like it had a grudge. She looked around, suddenly scanning for signs of life. My shoes, my charger, my scent in the hallway. Nothing. Even the stupid plastic coaster with the half-faded palm tree was gone. She dropped her phone. No one to call. Her inbox had become a desert. No brands, no likes, no lifeline. The last message on her screen was from her sister, and it just said, "You okay?" She was not. Her legs buckled, knees to tile, the kind of fall no one sees coming until they hear the sound after. The choking sound where breath and pride collide in the throat. Her shoulders shook. Not cute influencer tears, not stage sobs through ring-lit eyes. Real collapse. Because for all her talk of alignment, of empowerment, of setting intentions, she had never once set the intention to keep me. just to use me, until I stopped being useful, until I got in the way of her narrative. She thought I would storm out, that I would shout or slam doors or leave a legacy of noise, but I did not. I left with precision. One folder at a time, one asset at a time, one decision at a time. And now she was not just alone. She was small, not in stature, in presence, in relevance. The woman who had curated her life into digestible aesthetics now had nothing left to filter. No man to steady the frame, no followers to validate her sorrow, no plan B to pivot into. Just a kitchen, a note, and a silence that would outlive every social media hashtag she ever used. She never called again, because even she understood that sentence was not closure. It was a verdict, and it was final.